Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. I am Mike Babicz, your host, and boy, do we have a lot of fun planned for you tonight. But we're going to start off, of course, thanking our sponsors as we do each and every week, our good friends from Bumper to Bumper, also Steve Sinclair and the Interstate Racing Association, Game Day Men's Health of Vernon Hills, and soon to be coming out of Kenosha as well. Great Lakes Dragway, they got a big weekend coming up, and we're going to be talking to John a little bit about that in just a few minutes. B&L Office Furniture, Scott Carpenter always does a great job helping us out with our in-studio here. Force One Performance, the Irwin family, and we're going to have one of the Irwins on a little bit later on. Jacob's going to be joining us. Also, we have Whitmore's Towing and Recovery, as well as Fox Lake Harbor, Hunt Club of Richmond, MLS Auto Clinic, Debbie and Eddie Boyd, Bodycraft, and Bodycraft going to be very involved with this coming Saturday's Founders Night at the Wilmot Raceway. And we want to thank Mark and Tony Maglio and Bodycraft for all of their support for the Founders Night and also of our program here, and also providing pace vehicles for both Wilmot Raceway and the Interstate Racing Association. Goodwin Performance, Lake County Hose and Equipment, Hartnell Chevrolet, Culver's of Paddock Lake, Impressions Count, Weeby Wexen, Jack's Helmets, Aiming Apparel and Diecast. That's Garrett Tennyson and the Tennyson family. Also, People Architectural Group. We don't build buildings, we build people. And you can ask me or contact Sarah Missiel at People Architectural Group. Pink Roofing, a new supporter of the program, coming on board now. Cabins on the Lake in Friendship, Wisconsin. Midwest Motor Coach and Olson Transportation. Kaylee Burns, who does hair right at the corner of 11 and 75 in Kansasville. Stop by and see Kaylee, my granddaughter. Nielsen Enterprises of Lake Villa. John Hatterline, attorney at law. 5-Star Race Car Bodies, Carl Corey Schultz and Daniel Sanchez. Also, Northern Illinois Council on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse. They've got their golf outing coming up in June and plan on checking that out as well. And also our good friends from Racing Roundup, Jim Trado and his crew. And also the Lake County Honor Flight is going to have a golf outing coming up on June 20th at the Foss Park, and make sure you stop by and check that out or go to their website for more information. Some results from this last weekend at events that I was at. First of all, Wilmot Raceway was canceled on Saturday night. They had some power issues and canceled Saturday night's race program. So I made the trip north along with Mark Maglio, and we went up to the Plymouth Dirt Track. And at the Plymouth Dirt Track in the 1175 Sports Complex and Eatery IRA Lightning Sprints, scoring the feature win was Mark Heinert out of Waukesha. Brian Strain Jr. of Paris was second. Nick Petska out of Spring Grove finished in third spot. Strain caught Petska by maybe 1,000th of a second at the finish line. It was really, really close finish. In the 410 sprint cars, it was Travis Arends winning his second career IRA 410 feature in the Bumper to Bumper Interstate Racing Association Outlaw Sprint Cars. Blake Nemi was second, Scotty Thiel third, Kelby Watt was fourth, and Tim Schaefer made the trip from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania to finish in fifth spot. The Ackright Auto MSA 360s, it was Scotty Thiel scoring the win. Scotty Sipple owns his car, and we're going to talk to Scotty Sipple in a little bit. Brady Porchy was second, Kurt Davis third, Billy Kreitz fourth, and Lance Fosbender rounded out the top 5. Moving on to Sunday at Angel Park in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, the IRA feature was won by Tim Schaefer. He scored an amazing victory, come from behind, and catching Bill Baylog, 10-time IRA champion and World of Outlaw regular, caught him by, maybe a couple of car lengths at the checkered flag. Scotty Thiel ended up finishing in third in the bumper-to-bumper IRA feature. The Badger Midgets the feature win went to Parker Jones. Brandon Welty was second. Kyle Stark was third. Brian Strain Jr. won the B main and also was the hard charger in the feature event for Badger. And so Brian had a really strong run in the midgets. He's looking forward to running in the midgets some in the future. And he'll also be running wingless, I believe, at Wilmot this coming weekend. And who knows, you might see him driving just about everything that they have. Well, this coming Saturday night at the Wilmot Raceway, it will be the Founders Night. It'll be the bumper-to-bumper IRA Outlaw Sprint Cars. It'll be the Wisconsin Wingless Sprints. And it'll also be the 1175 Sports Complex and Eatery IRA Lightning Sprints, as well as Wilmot's owned Bandits 4-cylinder stock cars will be in action on Saturday night. And we're going to have a little bit more information on that coming up in just a few minutes. But now we want to talk straight racing at Great Lakes Dragaway. And John joining us from his Plushel estate. And John, welcome to the program. And first, before we talk Great Lakes Dragaway this week, we want to get your report on how you personally did and how the Brew City Gassers did in your road trip last weekend.
Well, other than on the way down there, dodging some thunderstorms to get down there. Luckily, we missed one by Rockford that ended up giving the hail, I think, to Gurnee. But we did good. We had a great weekend. Unfortunately, had a couple, 3 people break some cars out of 18. So they got some repairs to do. And we had a race. We do a race. We match up with Nostalgia Superstock guys, and they made this nice like Stanley Cup, to see who can win it. But I fell a little bit short on that one. We would have won that one, but the guy was racing. Great guy, John Grinwald. He's got this Gold Digger altered wheelbase car. He beat me I ran a 5:52 with a 9. He ran a 5:52 with a 6. He beat me by 0.03 of a second. But it was every time we line up, it's a great race. I mean, sometimes you don't even know who won until the win light comes on, but it's always a blast racing. The most fun I ever had losing probably is racing against him.
Well, at least in the main thing, you had fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that when I officiate. The last thing I say when we go out onto the field or onto the basketball court to my crewmates is, hey, let's go have some fun, because if we're not having fun, we should have stayed home.
Right. No, we always have a blast down there. They treat us really, really well. They're just good people, good track. They're doing constant improvements down there. So it's a little bit of a ride, but it's kind of neat. You're in the middle of farm country there, and they pack them in pretty good for spectators and that. So it's pretty good.
There you go. Well, this weekend, I know Great Lakes Dragaway has probably its first major event of 2025. A lot of stuff's planned, starting. I'm sure there's something going on tonight. The weather's a little bit better tonight. I think they're finally open tonight.
Yep.
Last night, I'm sure Randy probably reluctantly closed. And Tuesday, he definitely couldn't have been open because it was monsooning around here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But the grass and everything should be quite green.
That's what I was going to say. That's what the lawnmowers are getting a workout here the last month or so. They're really, and I've been working on those too. So it's like, they've been earning their keep. That's for sure.
So what is going on tonight? What if folks happen to stop by there tonight that they might see, and tomorrow, and then of course Saturday?
Okay, so tonight is our Sticky Thursdays. That's where everybody with slicks or drag radials can test and tune. They scraped the track. I was over there earlier putting the Great Lakes Dragway signs on the marquee in the middle there between the two lanes. And they scraped the track out to the transition like 170 feet, drug it all, had some pretty good surface this tonight. And I can hear them from my house. I'm 7 miles away. I can hear them, some high horsepower stuff, doing some testing out there tonight. And then tomorrow will be the early Friday where people can come in at noon to test and tune. Looks like the weather's going to be good, good horsepower weather. And a lot of people will be coming in for Saturday's show. A lot of people will be testing tomorrow for Saturday's show. And then obviously Saturday is the big show, which we've got a whole lot of things coming in there Saturday. So it should be a good time.
Well, and we see Sean Stykes checking in with us, one of our faithful viewers. Glad to have him on the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. Well, and I'll tell you, Sunday or Saturday in particular is, I'm looking at the schedule here and that. You've got a little bit of everything Saturday. And I know that, we were trying to see if we could get Danny Sullivan on with us tonight, but he's busy getting the Chicago Rush and the Shark Fin Jets ready to go. And Danny and I actually go way back. He used to bring the Chicago Rush to the old Lakehurst Mall for our car shows. Great Lakes Dragway Broadway Bob used to talk him into to bringing the Chicago Rush down. And I think we had it 2 or 3 times in the mall there. And it's very interesting to bring it in through the side doors, make a turn, and get it down the next thing, and then get it out to the center of the mall. But once it got to the center of the mall, that was a piece of cake.
Yeah,
it was making that turn to get it out to the hauler that was tricky. But and again, I've seen the Rockets in the daytime. I've seen the Rockets at night. You got to see them at night.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a totally different experience to see them at night.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a pretty big lineup there, between our group, our Bruce City Gassers. We're going to have the Pro E85 doing their elimination. Chicago Wise Guys will be back. 20 Legends with the Dragsters and that, and the Nostalgia Super Stocks. Chuck Young will be doing the Wheel Standard, the Chevy Rebellion 2. And like I say, we got Hocus Pocus, Mark Stevens with that jet. We've got Brian Mitchell with the Tough Jet, Chicago Rush that we just mentioned with Danny Sullivan and the Shark Fin. And then Dave Dewitt and Jeff Hoxter is going to have the Black Pearl and Quartermaster jets. Dennis Rolanski's Crossfire jet. Dick Messino is going to bring the vintage Shake, Rattle, and Run car to go down the track. And Tim Cullinan with the Irish Car Bomb, a 1970 nitro burning funny car. Mike Minnick with the third generation driver of the Chi-Town Hustler 79 Omni. There should be Arnie the Farmer Besnick will be there, and along with Richard Hutchins, guest visits. So he'll probably be at a booth. People can talk to them. And like I say, it's going to be a full day. The gates will open at 9:00. Track goes out about 11, and the big show starts at about 2:00.
And our buddy too, I think he's going to be there this weekend. Bill Fusting from Lake County Hose and Equipment.
Absolutely, he'll be running with the 1320 Legends. Yeah,
there you go. There you go. Well, and, when you see him, tell him I said hello, please.
One thing I got to mention for everybody too, that they're working on KR. Finally, they're going to resurface KR. So they have it closed down by the interstate. So people coming, if you're coming from the north, easiest route to go would be get off Highway 11 and go into Union Grove and then come back on Highway 45 and then go KR. They had KR closed off at 45, but they said they're not going to be working during the holiday weekend. They're supposed to take the barricades down, so it'll be easy access to nice you got it up there. It'll be easy access to get from Highway 11 to 45, and then you can go on KR and head east. If you're coming from the north, if you're coming from the south, Highway 142, where Mars Cheese Castle is, that's the easiest route to go right to Highway 45 and then go back onto KR. And I drove over there. The road isn't tore up yet. There was just 2 culverts that they put across the road. They ground maybe a 8-foot piece of the asphalt out across both lanes, and they covered it up with gravel. So it's not bad at all. But we're kind of looking forward to getting KR resurfaced because it was pretty beat up.
That's for sure. Well, and this will hopefully make you laugh, John. There is a house on the northeast corner of KR and 45.
Okay.
they have a driveway. That driveway is not a turnaround. They get very upset if people turn around in that driveway. I know from experience, the very first time I ever went to Great Lakes Dragway, we started to go by it, and then we turned in that driveway, and they were not pleased.
Oh, yeah.
So please do not turn in that driveway.
Sure. Yeah.
If you miss the turn on KR from either direction, just go a little bit further and turn around somewhere else, but don't turn in their driveway.
Yeah. Some people really like the track, and some people not so much, I guess.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be a great weekend. And then now Sunday, do you really have a set format for Sunday, or is it
Sunday we're going to have, we got it scheduled for Import Wars, where the import cars come in. That's what we normally do. And then it's the following weekend, we're going to do brackets again, which it's kind of nice that they're doing the brackets. We've gained some bracket racers we like to welcome from up WIR Kaukauna up there. We've got some newer racers coming down here, and it really helps with the program, get a lot of cars in. So it's working out really well.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, I do want to mention, because I know that we're going to try to work together on these. Hartnell Chevrolet is going to have a Cars and Custard on Saturday, June 21st. And it's going to be free and open to the public. It's going to be in the morning, 10:30 a.m. till 1 p.m. I'll definitely get some flyers up to you, John, so that we can get them, spread around. And we had Mark on last week, one of your announcers. Joined us last week while you were traveling. He did a very nice job filling in.
Good.
He's going to give you his bill. So, but yeah, and we certainly do encourage the drag racers to come down that day too. I don't know what time the track might go hot on Saturday the 21st, but the show's from 10:30 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. So. Even if they come down for an hour or so, have some custard.
Yeah.
Culver's custard there. Culver's just on Paddock Lake, and looking forward to a lot of fun. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to do it once in July and once in August, and I'll get you those dates as well. And then we may do it on a Thursday, actually a live remote of our show at Culver's there in Paddock Lake. So we'll get you that date eventually too.
Yeah, that might work out pretty good for some of us. Some of us were going to be, they got Gary's Hot Rod Reunion swap meet that's going to be at the Racine County Fairgrounds. So on the same day, on the 21st. So some people maybe go to the car show and go down the road and go to the swap meet there.
There you go. They can stop by us, get some custard, and then just keep going.
You bet. Yeah.
And again, folks, for information to find out what the latest information is on Great Lakes Dragway, and can they also get advance tickets for this weekend?
Yeah, I believe online, if you go to the Great Lakes Dragway website, greatlakesdragway.com, they used to have it. I think they still have it set up where you can get tickets online if you want to buy them ahead of time. And it should still be working like it is. And like I say, Facebook page is always good, Great Lakes Dragway. And then if you call the phone number there, you'll end up getting Randy's, the 262-878-3783. You'll get Randy on the phone, one of the owners there, and he'll answer your questions for you.
All right. That sounds fantastic. And again, we're looking forward to a great weekend. Are they doing anything on Monday, or is Monday going to be an off day for Great Lakes Dragway?
Yeah, Monday will be an off day. Yeah, they're usually Mondays are they're closed, and that's what's going to also be going on this year. It'll be closed on Monday.
All right, sounds great. Well, and Monday's the day people really should take time and remember why we have a weekend.
I'm wrong there. I'm actually looking at the calendar, and now it looks like they're going to be. From what I see here, they've got Memorial Day fundraising, so we will be open on Monday. We're going to be closed on Tuesday, the 27th.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. So that'll be nice for people if they have a 3-day weekend and you want to come up on Monday. If the weather's good, come on up and do that on Monday.
Okay, sounds good. And I know, John, that you and Randy and everybody at Great Lakes will take time to remember the veterans that we've lost this Memorial Day weekend. And
absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely. It sure is.
All right, John, appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck this weekend. I'm going to try to sneak out there at some point this weekend, so you never know when I might show up.
Okay. Yeah. Be
All
nice to see you out there. Okay,
right.
Mike.
Thank you, John. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
That was John giving us our weekly report from Great Lakes Dragaway. Well, now we're shifting gears, and we're going to talk with our one of the young guns that is racing in the 1175 IRA Lightning Sprints, and that is Jacob Irwin. Jacob, welcome to the program.
Glad to be here.
And tell us a little bit about, first of all, how young are you? I know, but tell our listeners out there.
I'm 15 years old.
You're 15, and what year does that mean you are in school?
I'm a sophomore right now with about 10 days left of school.
10 days left. Where do you go to school?
I go to Badger High School in Lake Geneva.
All righty. So, and now when you're not going to school, you're driving the number 63. Force One Performance, I'm sure, is one of your main sponsors. You better get them in there. And then also, I believe Fox Lake Harbor might be on your car. I'm not sure who else. Tell the folks who does help you get to that car to the racetrack each week.
Our sponsors for this year are Road Rage Designs, Quality Tire Service, Force One Performance Parts, O'Patterney Motorsports, Fox Lake Harbor, TUHB Quality Threads, Oakley, Kaiser Wheels, Racing Optics, firstform.com/Beth Irwin, my mom. So, and then we're always looking for more marketing partners. So if you know anybody, hit us up.
There you
Irwin
go.
Motorsports on Facebook.
And then they can also come by the number 63 in the pit area, right?
Yep.
Now, this Saturday is Founders Night. It's kind of a big night at Wilmot. Founders, it's the 11th annual Founders Night presented by Bodycraft. Mark and Tony Maglio do a lot to help with Founders Night, and we're looking forward to that. We got a few things that are going to happen. And since you're the first one on, we'll talk about these while you're here. John Tierney had hoped to get a car that was actually running. I'm going to be posting some pictures of the work that he's been doing feverishly on that car to get it ready. The car will be there, and it's my understanding he's borrowed an engine from Tommy Sexton, but they don't think they're going to be able to fire it. They're having some fuel nozzle issues or something, and they don't want to hurt the motor just for an exhibition. But he will be participating in the national anthem ceremony with that car. Jim Mullis, Jim King of the Cushion Mullis, he will be there with his number 30. He also will be participating in the national anthem ceremony, but will not fire the car. And Joe Christan had hoped to fire the car, but they've run into some issues, and the car that they were trying to get together, his son Brian was trying to get together for him. It's just not going to be ready. It's probably not even going to make it to the track. But Joe plans on being there to visit with fans. Dick Colburn will be there. Dave Mullis is planning on being there. Al Schlafer will be there because he'll be with his son Danny. We're going to have them on in just a little bit. And Carmen Manzardo is planning on coming to visit with fans. And those are the ones that I know about. There may be some more, I'm sure, that decide to just pop in. And the grandstand gates are going to open a little early. They're opening at 4:00. And I'm sure some of these drivers, the plan is to have them in the area by the IRA souvenir trailer so they can visit and sign autographs and talk some bench racing. Racers never do that, do they, Jacob?
Not at all.
No, they don't tell any stories. Now, hearing those names, you had someone in your family before you that was involved in racing. Tell our listeners a little bit about the family history of the Irwins and who's been involved in racing over the years.
Well, everyone involved before me would probably be my grandma, my grandpa on my dad's side, and then my dad and BJ, Force One Performance Parts. So grandpa started taking them to the racetrack when they were really little, and then when dad had me, he started taking me when I was a month old. So It's been a long run.
And Grandpa's name? I know it.
Bill Irwin, and he was friends with the Mullises for forever from boat racing and all that.
And he was also an IRA official.
Yep.
And then grandma is Peggy, right?
Yep.
And Peggy still comes to the races quite a bit. I know one night she was at the track at Wilmot, and you were racing down at Sycamore, and she was kind of keeping track on what was going on via Facebook.
Yeah, she goes to racetrack with BJ to help him with the parts business. So she watches me on Facebook where we go live on Irwin Motorsports.
So this Saturday night, Flow Racing will have a live broadcast, obviously. But of course, the best thing to do is to be at the races. You can't beat being at the races. And then also they can look for reports from you as well. And even if they're at the races, they could still, look at Facebook on their cell phone, or even look at Flow Racing on their cell phone and kind of keep track of what's going on that way.
Yep. We're trying to get a little bit better with posting updates during the night on Facebook. So as we get better with that, you'll see more on race night.
All righty. Now this season, what has been your highlight of this season so far, and what has been your low light?
Well, my highs are, it's kind of hard to find them because we're a little down on power this year because of having the older motor, and just we're out there and we can race every week. We've ran in the top 10, I think, every time this year, so that's good. And we haven't really had many lows except for spinning out on lap 1 of the heat race at Sycamore. So that's about it for lows.
All righty. And what's your best career finish over during your entire racing career, and how many years have you been racing?
My best career finish is second at Wilmot. My best career lightning sprint finish is second at Wilmot last year. And then, I've won races in the goat kart, won a bunch of those, and then this is be my 8th year racing.
All righty. Now, every now and then, sometimes people go from karts to lightning sprints, and then maybe either to the wingless or even into what I like to say, the lightning sprints, big brothers, the 410s. Any plans for Jacob Irwin? Any things you're looking to do?
As of right now, our next step is probably going to be IRA with the 410s. So we'll probably get going with that soon, and it's probably happening here in the next year or so.
Yeah, well, it's my understanding. I saw an entire race team that put everything on sale today up in Facebook. So, you may want to check that out. I don't know if any of that may interest you, or actually you're going to have to talk to Grandma, and see how big her checkbook is,
Yeah, for sure.
So, when you're on the racetrack, what is your focus? What is Jacob Irwin worried about or concerned about when he gets on the racetrack?
Trying to make sure I hit my lines every lap and make sure I'm doing what I need to do to put myself in the best situation I can with everyone else around me.
And when you're doing that, when you come in after each race, who do you go to kind of debrief? I mean, when we watch NASCAR, we watch IndyCar, whatever, they have a big debriefing. And then even on Monday, they have a bigger debriefing. What about Jacob Irwin? Who do you talk with during the night while you're racing, and then maybe even on Monday or Tuesday afterwards?
During the night, normally, when I get out of the car, I'll talk to Dad, BJ, and Jeremy, one of my crew guys. And then during the week, it's the same thing. Dad, BJ, and Jeremy, we just kind of collectively come together and see what we all thought and figure out what we can do better.
Okay, now this weekend you've got a doubleheader. You got Saturday at Wilmot, and you've got Sunday at 141 in Maribel, is what it's technically listed as. A lot of us call it Francis Creek. It's up there near Manitowoc a little bit. What about the two racetracks? What do you like about either one, and what is kind of challenging about either one?
I A lot of things that are challenging about 141, I'll start with, is 141 is kind of shaped like an egg. So 1 and 2 is kind of big and sweeping, and 3 and 4 is kind of a tight hairpin in a way. So going from Wilmot, which is all very similar in 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4, to 141, I'm gonna have to figure out how to change how I enter the corner and how I am with my throttle and brake control. And Wilmot, it's faster than 141 to an extent because it's a little bit longer straightaways. But 141, you kind of carry more speed because it's a little bit wider, so you can be more on the gas.
Now, with the amount of rain we've had this week, do you think that's going to have an effect on either one of the tracks, as far as, the way the clay is going to be at either one of the tracks when you hit them this weekend?
I think the rain should hopefully help us at both places, depending on how they had the prep during the week. Hopefully, there'll be a little bit more moisture in them and won't go as slick by the features.
Now, again, for folks out there that may not be familiar with the lightning sprint, maybe explain a little bit about what a lightning sprint is, its kind of engine, its kind of chassis that it's set up, and even the wings a little bit.
Well, we run a very similar size chassis to a midget. It's kind of the closest size-wise, and then it's powered by a motorcycle engine, a 1,000 cc, either Honda. I know there's some people with the Kawasaki's and Yamahas right now. And then we run a 4x4 foot wing instead of a 5x5 like the full-size sprint cars. So it's just pretty much smaller version, and it's chain drive.
And, you mentioned it's chain drive. How is the car? Because I know with a sprint car, the 410 sprints and even the wingless, they have to be push started, and a midget has to be push started. What about a lightning sprint?
The lightning sprints, we have our full transmission out of the bike, so we can function under our own power. We have starters, and we can drive everywhere.
And when you take off and you start to drive, do you put it in a particular gear, or do you actually still shift as you're racing, or are you able to put it in one gear and just let it go?
A lot of times if I'm driving up to the line from the trailer in the pits, I'll put it in first gear. But when I go out on the racetrack to go race, it's I put it in second and I leave it there till I come off.
Okay. Now, this is what year for you in a lightning sprint? You mentioned it's 8 years altogether racing. How many years now in the lightning?
This will be year number 3 in the lightning sprint.
Okay. And what is your goal for the rest of 2025?
My main goal is just trying to have better consistency and improve the way I handle myself on and off the racetrack.
Well, you're doing a good job with that, and I know also that you folks get out to a lot of events, a lot of parades, a lot of appearances. I know Memorial Day. We've talked about that. You've got to remember the veterans because that's why we have Memorial Day. But I also know there's a lot of Memorial Day parades and that going on this weekend. Is the Irwin race team going to be at any events this weekend that you want to let folks know about where they might be able to see you?
As of right now, I don't think we're doing any events this weekend, but if anything changes, there'll be a post on Facebook on Irwin Motorsports.
Okay, and then I believe don't you usually do something on the 4th of July in the Spring Grove-ish area?
Yeah, that's currently our plan, is to be in the Spring Grove 4th of July parade, and like the Memorial Day stuff, if anything changes, it'll be on the Irwin Motorsports Facebook page.
Okay. And then I also just mentioned earlier, I'm sure you heard it, and I'll make sure you guys get the date. Hartnell Chevrolet is going to have some car shows on the 21st of June. There's going to be one, and that's early in the day. So, yes, we know there's racing at Wilmot that night, but you can bring the car out, show it off during the morning, get yourself some custard, and then head on over to Wilmot once the pits open and you can see Betty. And then also there's going to be 2 more shows, one in July and one in August. And then we're going to have one on a Thursday as well at Culver's there in Paddock Lake. So we'll make sure you got that information, because I know you guys like to do that and like to support racing. And, you never know who you might meet. You might meet somebody that decides they want to start driving a race car just like you.
Yeah. We'll for sure try
Anybody?
get to a couple
Go
of those.
ahead.
We'll for sure try and get to a couple of those. I think my dad just said we'll probably be able to make the one at Hartnell Chevrolet on the 21st.
Okay, sounds good. Now, behind you, and this is a little unique, you've got your car. Does that mean it's in the trailer? Does that mean it's all set? You're not going to touch it till it comes out of the trailer Saturday night at Wilmot?
No, we got to finish our maintenance tonight and tomorrow, so we got a decent amount of work ahead of us.
Okay. Now, what about school? Are you done with school yet?
Not quite. I believe it's roughly around 10 days left, and then we're done for the year.
All right. What's your favorite class?
Currently, it's probably metals.
All right. That's pretty cool. So, well, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Say hello to the family. We'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday night, and best of luck in the number 63 in the 1175 Sports Complex and Eatery IRA Lightning Sprint.
Thank you. Glad to be on tonight.
All right. Take care, Jacob. God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye. Jacob Irwin, one of our young guns, 15 years old, a sophomore in high school. Wow. You used to not be able to race when you were that young. You used to not be able to get in the pits when you were that young. So we're now going to go to the older guys. No. Actually, we're going to bring three drivers and former drivers and car owners in. We've got Randy Sipple. Randy Sipple is now more of a car owner than a driver. And then we've got Danny and Al Schlafer, and Danny is the driver, and Al is the crew chief and the former racer himself. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program, and looking forward to chatting and talking about maybe some current racing, and with the number of years we got with Randy and Al, and even Danny too, for that matter. I think we're going to have some war stories here shortly. Randy, we're going to start off with you. As a car owner Saturday night, you had a big win. Scotty Thiel, the big wheel, got behind your car for the MSA sprints and scored a very impressive victory. Tell the folks a little bit about Scotty's run and also about what it was like for you as a car owner.
Well, we had a great time the other night. It's always great when you win. Although the night wasn't smooth the way I like them to be. We started out, the motor wasn't running just right the way I wanted to, and then we had a brake issue later on. But at the end of the day, it wound up being a W, and that's all that counts.
Well, there you go. And we kind of started off the night, too. And we were finally able to get together, and I presented you the Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame Award from the 1175 Lightning Sprints. Was able to do that in the pit area to you before the night got going, and it was a pleasure to give you that. We kind of did it very uniquely at the banquet in January. I had you on the phone and held the microphone up to the phone, but we made it work.
Right, and I thank you for that.
Okay, we're gonna shift down now to Danny and Al. And Danny, you had, and maybe I jokingly said to you, well, maybe you and I are going to have to chat at all the pill draws, the redraws, because you had a great run on Sunday night at Angel Park and ended up with a podium finish, finishing third.
Yeah, it was a solid night for us for a change. Just everything clicked. I went back to last year's car and last year's notes, and it just worked for me for whatever reason Saturday night finally. So.
And did the guy over your shoulder there, did Dad have anything to say about the setup for the car, or giving you any tips before you went out there, or did he just say attaboy?
Pretty much that, Mike. I mean, he's plenty capable, and he's getting a little bit down there, and I told him, I said, you're never going to forget how to do this, okay? Randy, none of us will ever forget how to drive a car, and Danny hadn't, and he showed that again. We've been off for the beginning of the year, and hopefully we kind of get back on track here. No, Danny's pretty well doing his show. I did make a minor shock adjustment for him On that initial red, we changed a little bit, and it probably helped. But no, it's Danny's call on what he wants to do, and I'm just there supporting basically. And you jokingly asked because I was checking fuel if there was any fuel left in the car because he was up in the gas. I wasn't concerned about how much was left. I wanted to see how much was left. I didn't know it right now.
There you go. There you go. Well, and there's one thing I've got to report to everybody. Anybody that was watching the race on Flow or in the stands or in the pits, the woodchuck is fine. Woody is fine. He was released back into the wild. If we had thought about it, Randy, we would have brought him up by your place. He would have probably been very happy way up north. But for those folks that didn't see it, we had a woodchuck that came out of somewhere and came across the track while the midgets were under caution, thank goodness. But I didn't think it was going to make it across the front straightaway because one time there was 2 race cars side by side and the woodchuck, I didn't know if it was going to go. But it made it. And then we grabbed the blanket out of the Bodycraft pace truck. And another guy had a crate, and it took quite a few of us, but we eventually got the woodchuck in the crate and with the blanket on it, and somebody brought a tow strap and wrapped around it, and then it was safely released back to the wild somewhere outside of the track grounds. So, I mean, Danny, Al, Randy, we've all been around racing for a long time. That is the first time I have ever assisted in capturing a woodchuck at a racetrack during a race. We actually finally cornered it, and the midgets had gone back to green. They were running. And I was like, I just hope this poor woodchuck doesn't decide to try to go across the track again. So, any funny stories like that? Anything you guys can remember? Any kind of animal, varmint that ever came across the racetrack while you guys were racing?
One time, not a million years ago, there was a deer on big old Hartford. It crossed across from the railroad tracks, which would have been to the west of the racetrack, and run out there during the main event. We never seen it. We were just told afterwards that there was a deer that crossed the racetrack. Where he went must have got back out on the other end or something. I don't know. But that's the only time I ever heard of another critter. I've seen hoof prints in racetracks, but not in a competition.
There you go. Randy, what about you? I mean, you're way up north there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me you saw a bear come out in the middle of a race.
Well, not at the racetrack, no, but we have bears running all around up here. Tons and tons of deer and coyotes and wolves, just about every type of wildlife. And it is kind of cool to see a bear. I just seen one the other day. It is a big one. A lot of people in the area have seen it. So everybody, all the hunters are all excited about it. They're all trying to get in line to get this big one.
Sure.
Well, hopefully they don't catch him because he didn't get big being stupid.
Right.
So, Danny, you're kind of the young guy in the room here, even younger than me. So, what about when you're around guys like your dad and guys like Randy Sipple and guys like I mentioned earlier, Dick Colburn and John Tierney's going to be at Wilmot Saturday, and Jim Mullis and Joe Christan and Carmen Manzardo and Dick Colburn and Dave Mullis and who else is going to show up? When you're around these legends, these veterans, what goes through your mind?
Well, some of it's like, I can't believe I raced against Randy and Dad back when we were running 360 stuffs at Manitowoc. Now it's like Tim Schaefer. Man, I was a kid watching that guy race, and to be able to race against him, that was pretty cool. But it's I guess I don't really, when you're in the moment, you don't realize how big they really are and what they meant Wisconsin sprint car racing and all that, what they've accomplished. When you sit back and think about it, it's really cool to be around these guys and be able to talk to them. So.
And that's kind of what Blake Nemi said last year when he won the regular season championship at Wilmot. And I was talking to him in Victory Lane. He said that, when I mentioned some of the, champs that he joined in that club, the Joe Rose, Bill Baylogs, and Dick, and the list goes on, and Daryl Dodd, it was pretty. He actually got choked up in Victory Lane when he started, like you say, when you start thinking about it.
Right.
Daryl will be there Saturday. You got a fourth generation of the Dodds now, and Colin Sivia that's racing.
Yeah.
And Junior Dodd, Colin's great grandpa, along with Ray Toft, the late Ray Toft, and Whitey Harris, they formed the IRA. 60 years ago, technically, but the first race was 59 years ago because it was in May. You think back and you think to all the history that's around, particularly Wilmot. Anytime you have a victory at Wilmot, I think it means something, particularly to guys like you, Danny. The traveling guys, I don't know if they quite get it.
Yeah.
Like you guys do that grew up there.
Right. Grew up watching racing there, yeah.
And so now this Saturday, is there extra pressure on Danny Schlafer saying, hey, this is Founders Night. It's going to pay a little different. The points are the same, but it's, your name goes on that Southeastern Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame trophy that's displayed up there, with all the winners' names on it. And thank you to Joe Palmisano and Dick Colburn. The trophy is en route as we speak to get to Wilmot for Saturday. Does it bother you or not? Bother is probably not the right word. Does it motivate you to say, I want to get my name on that trophy?
I was fortunate enough to win it a couple of years ago. I think in 22, I think we won there.
Right. Yeah.
Founders Night. So I was fortunate enough to already have my name on it, I guess. I don't add any more pressure just because it's Founder Night. Every time we unload, we want to win, no question. So it doesn't matter if it's a MSA show or IRA or All-Star High Limit Outlaw show. It doesn't matter. We don't. I don't put any more pressure on myself to perform on those shows that I show up to. So maybe that's just the time that I've had in the seat already. That I don't put that pressure on myself anymore. So I just put a lot of pressure on myself to perform for the whole team and everybody that helps us. That's my downfall if I got a downfall on the pressure side. So,
Danny, going into this weekend now, you just mentioned you try not to put any extra pressure on yourself. But when you did win there in 2022, do you remember kind of what you thought of, when you took that checkered or when you got to Victory Lane that night?
Well, I guess that night I didn't really realize it was Founder Night. That night I won, and I was just thankful and grateful and all that to finally have won at Wilmot, being that Dad won there. I had won there in a 360 car, but never in a 410 car. So for us to have won in both divisions there was something I wanted to accomplish for myself and for our family. So, I guess, like I said, I don't really put any stock in winning on any given night. Just want to win all the time. So, like any other racer, I guess. So.
Okay. Randy, looking back on your career, what do you think your biggest win is as you look back on all the years that you've had in racing?
God, I don't know. I don't think I have one that's really the biggest one. Anytime you win a race, it's great. I guess if there's any win, and it's not even an A main win. One time we were good enough to beat Steve Kinzer in a heat race. That was kind of special back then because that's when he was in his prime, and you didn't beat Steve Kinzer in a heat race. And I was able to at Hales Corners, so that was kind of cool. But I don't know. We had a bunch of wins at Wilmot and a lot of other racetracks. I don't have one that really stands out as the biggest one.
Al, what about you?
Well, I'm going to help Randy on his deal there. When he was driving giveaways in 55 car, if he were in him, he was about untouchable. I run second to him more than I wanted to think about. But that was a good year for him, or a good couple-year run that he had with Gibbs with 55 car. Randy's always been a top competitor. Speaking of Hales Corners, we both had career highlight lifetime achievements there. Of course, we both almost lost our lives together in reality, but maybe that made us even the better friends that we actually are. But as far as a standout night, I would have to go back to either both 95 and 96 at Hartford, Michigan, and being the king of Michigan and just getting lucky and winning that Cranberry Fest or Blueberry, whatever it is up there, Blueberry Fest, like in Crandon, Wisconsin, but Blueberry Fest in Hartford, Michigan. That was honestly my largest payday personally in all of my years of racing. And there again, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about anything other than, like Danny says, and Randy would agree with that. Any real true hardcore racer wants to win all the time. We all understand we cannot win all the time. And all of us have been through great years where we thought we just about were Supermen, and other years where we questioned whether we had it in us yet or not. And I think every long-term racer for sure has been through that emotions of high and low. But you've all seen me. I get pretty emotional in victory lane lots of times when Danny wins, and even back when I did win or whatever. But I think I'm pretty even keeled. I think Randy would agree with that you roll with the flow. Good nights and bad nights, because that's what racing is. I mean, at the end of the day, really racing for us is about the enjoyment of the sport, the fun, sure, the passion of winning. And then, boy, that's a bad drug disease. Okay, I mean, when you win, you would just want it again. But that would be my standout night or racetrack would be Hartford. It's always been special to me. It is no longer the same track that it was. There's many other racetracks that were special. Randy remembers me winning at Antigo a few years ago, and I know, Randy, that might have been my last A main event win. I can't remember. But, in fact, I think you ended up finishing third. Maybe that was, no, I don't remember. That was Chilton, now that I think about it. You ended up third. But it goes back to archives. People in the pits can't believe that you can remember the crap from, in the late 70s or 80s or, whenever. We could tell, you talk about, when I was a kid, if Freddie Nielsen, 3.8 car it was, that was a beautiful car. I think Wade Harris maybe even drove that for a bit.
Whitey drove it for a bit. Johnny Reimer won a championship with it, and actually Johnny's nephew still has that car, and it might just show up Saturday. They often bring it out for Founders Night.
Right. And ironically, he's a body shop guy, whatever. So, I mean, there's just a lot of parallel in this sport or in racing across the board. But you asked me a question, and of course, you've got the Al answer.
Well, and the one thing and not that Danny's not on camera, but not that Danny doesn't smile too, is every time I see Randy and Al in the pits, they've got a big smile for me and a big hug. And that means the world to me, because, I've been around this sport a long time with you guys. Yeah. And Danny, I don't even think was born yet when I first met Al. So, and that, I think Randy hit it on the head when he was giving his acceptance speech during the banquet in January for the Lightning Sprints. It's the relationships that we all make in this sport that will actually last a long time after you've driven your last race, maybe you've even crew chiefed on your last car, maybe I've announced my last race, what have you. It's those relationships and friendships that just go on forever.
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, it's that's probably what keeps us involved in the sport. Either we're that brain dead, to spend, like Randy and I have really spent all of our lives or our adult lives one way or another informed in either driving cars or owning cars or renting out cars or Randy with his driving schools and different things of that nature. And I think about how many young guys that Randy has helped that wouldn't have got maybe the opportunity if it wouldn't have been for the rental ride program. So kudos to him.
And well, that's a nice lead in here as we got about 4 minutes to go. Randy, it's time to hit your marketing partners and go ahead and plug the driving school if you've got away, folks. I know you've downscaled it a little bit compared to the old days when some guy like Mike got to drive a sprint car of Gib Weiser's at Wilmot. It's a little different now, but go ahead, Randy, and tell the folks about your marketing partners.
Yeah, we're still doing the school. Like you said, we have toned it back quite a bit. We don't do the 15, 20 students like we did in the past. We're now doing 1 to 3 people. We do it at the 141 Speedway or Gravity Park, and we'll just bring in, like I said, 1 guy, 2, 3 guys, and I pretty much do it myself. I got a couple guys that help out, Dave and Chuffy, and the guys that have been with me for years and years. But we're still doing the same thing. We're giving a person the opportunity to come in and drive a race car, and we get all different types of people. We get the guy that's sitting in the stands for 20 years and just says, hey, I want to drive one of them things. He comes in, he drives it, just has a ball. And then we get some of these young guys that are coming out and they really want to be part of the sport. They want to get better, or they want to just try driving a sprint car, and maybe they're going running a 360 or a 410 or a midget or whatever. But that's what we're there for. My only problem is right now, since we've been up north here in the bar, restaurant, and a motel in northern Wisconsin, that I don't have the time to be at the racetrack the way I want to be. If I was there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, things would be a lot different. And hopefully that's what we're working for. We have the place up for sale. So if there's anybody out there that wants a successful bar, restaurant, and motel in northern Wisconsin, come and see me.
What's the name of it so folks can come now?
Richards of Dunbar.
Richards of Dunbar. Okay. Well, and I told you before we're going to try to get up there. We're going to try to get up there before you sell it. Danny, Al,
many times.
There you go. Appreciate that. Danny and Al, I guess Danny, Al's going to make sure that you remember all the marketing partners. So, Danny, go ahead. It's time to thank those folks that get you to the track.
Sure. Yeah, you definitely got to go to Randy's bar there, Richards. It's a nice place. We snowmobile there quite a bit every winter. We try to make a trip up there. So, but as far as everybody that helps us, we got obviously the shop Schleifer Auto Body. We got Cut and Go. My oldest son that races, he works for them. So we got Dynamic Stamping, Indian Motorcycles, Metro Milwaukee, Big Fish Contracting, Sam I Am, Mr. Jim Duncan. There's just a lot of people that help out with our team. It makes it go around. So yeah, that's about it. Just got to thank all our crew, Bob Dawn, Jason, Xanders, my nephews, Matthew, Tyler, and obviously my wife, kids, mom and dad. Just got to thank everybody that helps make this go round. So,
all righty. Well, Al, I'm gonna let you save face, and then Randy, we're gonna come back to you real quick for the last one. Al, you better thank your wife.
Yeah. No, Danny covered it. He pretty well covered any help and sponsors and things of that nature. It's all good. But yeah, no, Debbie has put up a lot with the last, whatever it is, closing the 50 years of marriage this year. So it's been about 47 or 8, whatever it is, of racing. And I've put her through hell and back, no question. I think a lot of us have, but good woman. She's put up with it, for lack of a better word. But Now she just cheers us on. So, some of them, she does come to the racetrack on occasion. So not like she used to back in the, Wilmot heydays, let's call it that. But
Right.
got nothing else. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Randy, you talk about the wildlife up there. Yeah, and deer were going crazy up there, like at Easter when we were up there by you guys. Couldn't believe how many were running across the roads.
And Randy, I know you want to thank your wife real quick.
I do. I wouldn't be able to do this without her. When I'm back at the races, back at the race shop and stuff, she's up here running this place. So, there's just not enough I can say about her.
All right. Well, I've really enjoyed this. This has been special for me. We want to invite everybody, Wilmot Raceway, Saturday night, Founders Night. You won't want to miss it. Grandstands are going to open at 4. And then Sunday night, don't forget 141 up there in Francis Creek. The bumper-to-bumper IRA sprint cars will be up there. The 1175 Lightning sprints as well. I'll be calling the Lightnings on Saturday and Sunday as well. So thank you, gentlemen. I really, really enjoyed this. And Al and Danny, I'll see you on Saturday. And Randy, I know we're going to see you down the road sometime this year again. Until we see you next time, everybody, we appreciate you coming out. Please remember what this weekend is about. It's about Memorial Day. Take a minute and thank a veteran. Until we see you next time, this is Mike Babicz wishing you a pleasant evening, the best of tomorrows. Remember, kids, just say no to drugs. Thanks. Good night. God bless. And let's go racing.